So good day, ma'am. So today I'm gonna explain about my activity, which is the student gradebook system. So as you can see here, we have a list of students. So I have two example here, which is the name John and Michael. So each students have their corresponding grade for each subject. So the subject here is we have math, science, and English, and also we have their calculated average grade for each student, and also their status of the students, which refers or it basically means that if the student passed this, pass or failed. So in this system we have different functions, which is we have the add student, search, and the top performer. So first we had the add student. So here in the add student we have a name and the different subjects. So first we input a name. So we have named the dough and input the math grade, which is 90. And for the next subject, science, we input an 89. And the next subjects is 86. As you can see, we go back to the index PHP, so the landing page. So as you can see, we add the new student named Doe and the different grades of each subject, and also we calculated the grade of the students, which is 88.33, and also we have the status of the students, which is pass. So the next function is the search student. So enter name. So if I enter the not existing student, it will have an output that it says that no student found. So next is if I input the student that exists in our system, so it will display the different details of the student or the different grade of the subject, and also the average and the status. So we search name John, so it display John. So the next function we have is the top performer. So in the top performer, basically it will display the top performer in the class. So we have named Joe, a Doe. So he is the top performer in the class with average 88.33. So that would be all for the output in the student gradebook system. So we have the different function, sa add student, search, and the top performer. So let's go now to the coding of the system. So here in the index.php, so we have an php include function.php. So basically it will connect to the file name function.php, so it can reuse the different function in that file. So declare the doc type html, and in the head we have a title and the link. So title student gradebook system, and connecting to the style css. So in the body we have an h1 tag student gradebook system, and also we have the nav tag, which is for the navigation. And in the navigation we have an anchor, href, and the different function, which is the add student, search, and the top performer. So we link it to the add.php, search.php, and the top.php. So the next is the h2 tag, which is the list of the all students. So in this next code we have the php for each, so it will iterate through the different students, and to call this it will display it in the div class name card. So it will display name, so b name set to uppercase, so it will set the name to uppercase for each student. And next is the for each, so it will loop through each subject and input the different grades. And also we have an average, what you call this, the variable name average and variable name status. So get average, so it will get the average of each student, and also get status, so it will get the status of the students. So and the next one is let's go to the add function. So here we also include function.php, so we can use the different function. So if server, so basically if the user click the submit button, so it will go back to the index.php. And the next one is the doctype html, declaring html type. So in the head we have title and linking to the style css, and we have an h1 tag in the body, so add student. So we have a div class form box, so this is the for the adding, so we can see the container for the inputting different inputs for a name and different subjects, math, science, and English. And also we have a button type, and which is names add. So basically in this input we have a type text, and we set this to required. Next one is to backlink, so it basically direct to the index.php. So let's go now to the search function. So here we also include the function.php, so we can reuse again. So we have here the php declared an variable found set to the value to null. Next one is the if server, so it basically check if the form on the page was submitted using the post method. So next one is we have the doctype html, so declare again. In the head we have a title and the link, so the title search student and linking the style css. So in the body we have a div class, so name page wrapper. So in the div we have an h1 tag search student. So we also have an inside div class name form box. So we have a form method using the post method and their label, so enter name. And next one is the input type, so which is set to text, and the name search name, and we also set this to required. And next one is we have the button type, submit, and the name is search. Next one is the PHP code, so it will check if the student was found or the form was submitted using the post method. So if the student was found, so it will, in this code it was basically set the name to uppercase, and also loop through each subject of the students and print it. And also for the average, we set the average with a decimal only 2. And if no student was found, so no student yet for the else statement. And lastly we have backlink, so directly back to the index php. So let's go now to the functions. So we have a php session start. So in this code, if is set session students, so basically the set sample students if there is no students. So the first function is the get average, so it will get the average of each students. So we have a variable total, so set to 0, and we loop each through the every grade of the student and put the value in the total variable, and return the total variable and divide it into the number of subjects. The next function is the get status. We have a parameter of average, so if average is greater than 75, it is pass, else is failed. Next function is the to uppercase, and we have one parameter which is name. It will basically return the uppercase of the name. The next one is to find student, so loop through array of student, and we have an if statement, so string lower, so we lowercase the name so that we avoid the case sensitive. If the student was found, we return the student name, which is stored in the variable student, else we return null, which is no student. So let's go to the next function, which is the add student. We have 4 parameters, which is for the name and the grades, a subject, math, science, and English. So in this function, it basically allow us to add new students in the array of students, which each have a name and different subjects. So the last function is getting the top student. So get the top student. So we have a variable top and a variable highest. We set the top first to value null and also the highest to 0. In this function, we loop through each different students and get each average and compare it to each other. If we get the higher average, we can display it as the top performer in the class. So let's go now to the CSS. So we have a body. So we set it to font family sans serif, and a background. I have an hex code and also padding set to 20px and display to flex, and the flex direction is column. So for the h1 tag, so we text align it to center and have a color of hex code, having a hex code of 333. And for the navigation, so we set it to text align border to left and the margin bottom 20px. So for the navigation with an anchor, so text decoration none and the margin to right, and we set it to 15px, and the color which is set to blue. And for the form input, so we have a margin button 10px and a padding of 5px and the width of 200px. So I think that would be all for the explanation of the gradebook system. So thank you and goodbye.